but I'm not hearing anybody. 1, 2, 3. Okay, we'll go. If it's all right with you, I would like to give the thought/prayer.
Okay.
And I'm sorry I might get a little goofy here, but this past year, many of my thoughts have come from Richard Bach, who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Illusions, and several other books. A few days ago, let me back up. One of his things, so to speak, is the Messiah's Handbook. I've probably had that for 40 years. I saw it the other day where I did not expect to see it. And I thought, oh good, now I know where it is. And then today I thought, well, maybe going out I can do a little something from Richard Bach, who I've considered to be just a down-to-earth, spiritual, common sense person that makes you think. He's not preaching, he's teaching. So I walked back into the room and I grabbed Messiah's Handbook. And you open it up to whatever page, and that is the blessing that you get or receive for the day. I picked it up today just thinking of everyone and Rotary and the world and more. There is no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. You seek problems because you need their gifts. Good. I got that. And we all get problems, and hopefully we deal with them as gifts if it gives us that aha moment. Then I walked over to the Illusions book from Richard Bach, and I just flipped open a page. Let me read you what it says. There is no such thing as a problem without a gift for you in its hands. You seek problems because you need their gifts. What are the chances? Sometimes we get problems, a lot of times we get problems, and we regard them as a problem rather than a gift. And I was just stupefied and just bowing to the Creator and saying thank you. I thank you today again for this, as treating it as a gift and as a solution, and on and on and on. What are the chances that I saw that 2 times, and my immediate thought was Rotary, and it's like, oh my gosh. And I hope we all can say that to whomever, especially ourselves, others, coaching, mentoring, whatever, that, you know what, everything isn't a problem. It's maybe an aha moment to take that as a gift or a blessing or a quiet time. And after a little while, if not the same day, maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe in 6 months, it's going to come back to you and you're going to go, oh my gosh, that is not what I was experiencing at that time. Boom. And then these are my words that hopefully then you can help transition that to family, friends, fellow Rotarians. I mean, Kelly challenged me to take care of the, get this Rotarian thing going, E-Club, it's a new thing. I'm like, whatever. And it's not whatever. It's like, what? Ever? No, it's been a blessing. It's really been a blessing. Have I had my days and times? Yeah. But it's absolutely not because of anyone who has ever joined us on our meetings, starting, 9 months ago, and our experiences, our results, and it's like, that is life. That is life, and that's the way it should be, in my opinion. I mean, we look at the world today and we think, why are we still not getting along after all of these centuries? World, turn the problems into gifts and blessings. I'm sorry to take a little bit of time, but I was stupefied to get those exact same 2 messages in one day, and it just resonated right down my heart and spirit. I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
All right. Well, let's see. Tiffany, are you up next to introduce our guest speaker tonight?
Actually, I'm going to introduce Paul. So I see Tiffany did join us.
Larry, sorry.
See Tiffany did
right.
My bad.
I did.
Invisible. So if we're ready for that, we'll move on to introducing Paul. Now, this is my friend Paul. I affectionately refer to as Paul the Onion Pugmire. Let me introduce him and you'll see why. Paul was born in Provo, Utah. He holds a dual PhDs in high energy, particle physics, and post-Renaissance philosophy. He won a gold medal in the men's downhill at the 1950 Winter Olympic Games. Despite being world record holder at the time in the 100 meters, he did not compete in the Summer Olympics that year because of scheduling conflicts with Major League Baseball, where he pitched for the Kansas City Royals. A season highlight was throwing a back-to-back no-hitters on both ends of a doubleheader, one right-handed, the other one left-handed. Following a stint with the Peace Corps in Central Africa, he turned to his professional pursuit. He joined staff at NASA, where he conceived and proved existence of black holes and successfully piloted the crippled Apollo 13 spacecraft back to Earth. His fluency in Russian proved to be useful when he negotiated the Strategic Arms Limitations Treaty and laid the groundwork for the dismantling of the Berlin Wall. For this, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, the proceeds from which he used to establish a program to feed and educate children in Namibia. Following a world tour supporting the release of his Grammy Award-winning double platinum album, Waiting at the Mailbox, he declined an invitation to serve as Secretary General of the United Nations to accept his current position as Executive Director of the First Tee of Utah. In asking you to dream big and act bigger, Paul assures you that part is true. So, I'd like to introduce to you Paul the Onion Pugmire.
Welcome, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry, and thank you to the entire group for letting me join you today. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I appreciate you taking some time to let me talk to you about a great passion of mine, which is the kids in the First Tee program of Utah. I am the Executive Director of the First Tee of Utah. The First Tee is a nationwide organization. It has 170 chapters nationwide. It, of course, by having that many nationwide, you know that there are many parts of the country where there are several in each state. However, in Utah, there is only one First Tee chapter. We are a statewide chapter. We currently serve in and have programming being conducted in Salt Lake City, in Tooele, and in St. George. We are in the process of going to Logan, and just last week opened our second location in Salt Lake City at the Rose Park Golf Course in Salt Lake. And I'll talk more about the programming later. The First Tee was started as a national program in the late 90s, in 1997, very much as a reaction to Tiger Woods' emergence as a major public figure, in addition to being a champion golfer, and the opportunity that that provided to use golf to reach out to kids who need a hand. Now, originally, the First Tee was organized by the 5 top golf organizations in the country. They are the PGA Tour, the guys you see playing on TV on Sunday, the PGA of America, these are the folks who run the golf courses, they're the pros at your local course, the LPGA, the ladies who are professional golfers either at a local course or out on the tour, the USGA, the United States Golf Association, this is the governing body of golf, and the Masters, which of course is the organization that runs the Masters tournament at Augusta National each spring. These 5 organizations came together and formed the First Tee. And when they first formed it, like I say, it was an outreach to kids who were in situations in their lives where they may not have the opportunity to experience golf or to experience the teachings that are inherently available in the game. What quickly happened after this introduction was made in the late 90s was that parents across the community in any kind of neighborhood, in any socioeconomic background, parents across the community started seeing this program and seeing what it was about and seeing the results that it had in the lives of children and said, I want my kid to have that as well. And so the First Tee now goes wherever we are wanted, wherever there are people who want to have this programming for their kids, wherever there are kids who want to be a part of it, and where there are people who are passionate about helping kids. But it remains in our DNA to be looking for the kid who needs a hand. And I want to come back to that in a minute. But you might be asking yourself, why golf? of all the things that can be used as a medium to teach a child, as a platform to take a kid and mold that kid into a successful adult, why golf? As we consider that question, I would like to ask you guys to watch with me a video. And I want to, first of all, let me confirm, are you seeing the video now up of the 1969 Ryder Cup? Is anyone seeing this on their computer screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Let me set the stage.
We can see it.
Let me set the stage. And let me begin by asking you a series of questions. And I want you to think through these questions with me. Have you ever wanted something? Have you ever wanted something really badly? Have you ever wanted something so badly that you would work for it for years, repeating again and again the actions that it takes to achieve this goal? And have you ever wanted this goal so badly that you knew that it could not be accomplished alone? It had to be achieved in a team setting. It had to be achieved with other people who shared your passion and shared your goal and were working on it with you. Now, I'm sure most of you have thought of something that you have worked for. You're all accomplished people, and this accomplishment doesn't fall from the sky. It requires work. It requires repetitive action. You guys have done that, so I'm sure you're thinking of something. Now let me pose this question. What if, in the final moment of standing on the edge of being able to claim this goal, one of your teammates gave it away? Think about that while we watch this short, it's a 2-minute video. I'll offer some commentary. The setting is the 1969 Ryder Cup. The Ryder Cup is a series of matches staged over 3 days between the top golfers from America versus the top golfers from England and Europe. Actually, in 1969, it was just England. They hadn't added the European Tour players yet. In 1969, the Ryder Cup had been won for 14 straight contests by the Americans. It was being staged at the Royal Birkdale Golf Club in Southport, England, and it came down all tied to the last group on the last day and their last hole. And the last group is a twosome, a pairing of Jack Nicklaus versus Tony Jacklin. Jack Nicklaus is an 18-time major champion, easily arguable as the greatest player ever to walk the planet. Tony Jacklin, at the time, was the reigning U.S. Open champion. He would later win the British Open as well. So a champion of multiple major championships and one of the great players. They both are members of the Golf Hall of Fame. So they come down to this last hole all tied. The outcome of the 1969 Ryder Cup hinges on this one hole. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that's Jacklin's drive. He hits it long and straight into the middle of the fairway. The 18th hole is a par 4. There's Nicklaus's drive. Again, long and straight. Both of the players hit excellent drives into the middle of the fairway.
Nicklaus first.
Okay, so both players now are on the putting surface in 2. So now it's down to putts for the outcome of the entire Ryder Cup. Tony Jacquelin's birdie putt, just short. Nicklaus's birdie putt. He blows it by the hole. Makes the putt. Watch this. He bends down, picks something up. Let's look at that last part again. Nicklaus will bend down and pick something up. Watch what he picks up in his hand. One more time. Anybody catch what he picked up? Larry, what did Nicklaus pick up?
It's a ball marker.
He picked up the ball marker. He picked up Tony Jacquelin's ball marker. He picked up his competitor's ball marker. That means that he gave his competitor the putt. He gave his competitor the putt that would tie the Ryder Cup. Now, it was only a 2-foot putt, and Tony Jacquelin was a major champion. Tony Jacquelin was a great player, or he would not have been in that situation. And so he likely would have made the putt, but that doesn't matter. Nicklaus gave the putt to him, and it caused a lot of consternation amongst his teammates, who said, why not allow that one chance in a million that Jacquelin misses it? And Nicklaus said, no. We will be gentlemen. We will give him the putt. I did give him the putt. And so they tied. 3 days of competition, 14 players on each team. All those matches played over those 3 days. It came down to 2 men on one hole on one green with 2 putts on the last hole, and Nicklaus gave the putt away. And that serves as the best example I know of why golf works as a medium to teach kids skills they need to have and character values they need to live with to succeed in their lives. Golf is self-refereed. It is self-scored. Can any of you imagine on a golf course somebody throwing a chair across the green, kicking sand on an umpire's shoes, bumping another player and screaming and yelling at him? The answer is no. And so in this context, pardon me? Okay, so in this context, at the first tee, we use golf to teach kids core values such as honesty, integrity, perseverance, or what's often called grit, which research shows clearly is the characteristic which will set apart a successful person from a non-successful person. It's not talent, it's not privilege, it's grit. It's the ability to persevere and to stay with the task when it is difficult and when it takes just sheer willpower to continue to work at it. These are the core values. These are among the core values that we teach the kids at the first tee. We have 3 main program delivery vehicles. We have, first of all, an elementary school program. In the elementary school program, it is the first tee core values are taught along with introductory golf lessons with developmentally appropriate equipment that can be used indoors or outdoors. It is taught in the elementary schools by PE teachers to the kids in the PE classes. in the First Tee of Utah, we are currently in 33 schools around the state, and that number continues to grow. Our next program delivery method is an after-school program. The after-school program is taught mainly at community centers, Title I schools, Boys and Girls Clubs, places like that. And again, it is based on the 9 core values, and it is taught by the education specialists at the after-school program with curriculum and equipment provided by the First Tee, as well as training and support. And then the third program delivery vehicle, which is our most important one, is at a green grass facility, at a golf course. And at the golf course is where we really get into teaching the kids the life skills. We have rank advancements that are similar to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. As the kids go through the rank advancements, they will study, first of all, the 9 core values. Then they study something that we call personal par, which is a method for interacting with themselves and their challenges, as well as interacting with others, that will allow them to not judge themselves or base themselves based on other people, but allows them to judge themselves and base their actions based on where they are. Then they go on to study goal setting, and then resiliency, and finally service and giving back. The First Tee program is designed to take a kid from age 7 through adulthood at age 18. And when the kids get into the higher levels of our rank advancements, they have some great opportunities to participate in nationally sponsored programs like trip camps and college preparation camps, working as interns at our national sponsors, and then the granddaddy experience we offer, which is a highly, highly competitive, very difficult plum to achieve, and that is to play in a Champions Tour event side by side with Champions Tour players, Senior Tour players, in an event at Pebble Beach, the great Pebble Beach golf course in Monterey, California, and the event is broadcast live on the golf. We also expect those kids who achieve that kind of benefit, we expect them to be giving back as well. And we expect them to volunteer with the younger kids and to help the younger kids go along and develop along their path. So there's a quick overview of the First Tee, what we do, why we do it. I will tell you that it is growing. It is already very successful nationwide. The First network has reached more than 10 million kids. Here in Utah, in our first 4 years of operation, we are quickly sneaking up on reaching our 100,000th kid. We haven't quite got there yet, but we're on our way. And the program is growing. Like I said, we have a new program recently opened up in Rose Park, and we are in the process of moving to Logan. So that's our story. Now I have a series of challenges for you. Does everybody know what this is?
Yeah, a golf tee.
That is a golf tee. What does a golf tee do?
It's the ball.
Holds the ball up.
It holds the ball up. The golf tee provides support to make something easier for someone else. I'm asking you, each of you individually and as a group, to be the tee. You'll notice that the golf tee is not complicated. It has no moving parts. Its shape is simple. And yet it can be the difference that makes the difference in the shot at hand. And in our analogy, somebody being the tee to hold up another person and make something for them a little easier can be the difference that makes the difference in them achieving what they want to achieve. Now I want to tell you a few ways that you can go about being the T. First of all, I ask you to be there for people who need it, in particular kids. I will challenge you that the notion of quality time is a myth. It is not true. You cannot schedule the moment when a kid will decide to say what's on her mind, when a kid will decide to stand up and become involved in the world around him. The only way that you can be a part of this, the only way that you can be there for this kid is to be there on an ongoing basis. Quality time is an insidious myth. The only way that you can truly have those quality moments is to be there on an ongoing basis. Let me tell you about my friend Joe Sobeski. Joe Sobeski grew up in Detroit, and Joe came from a horrid, unimaginable background. He came from a background of abuse and violence. He came from a background of deceit and dishonesty. He came from a background where his parents hurt him. He was caught in the middle of a divorce and custody conflict, and he was kidnapped by his mother. And he was held in the basement of her house for more than a week, being used as a pawn to try to manipulate action from his father. Joe finally, after a little while, the situation changed enough that he was able to get out of the house and he was able to move around a little bit. But it still was a situation where he was unsafe, where he was being hurt emotionally, and where he was being hurt physically. And Joe made up his mind that he would take his life. He decided that it was better to end his life than to continue living the way he was living. And as he was making his plans, he looked at the calendar and he looked at the clock and he realized that today was the first tea day. And he decided he wanted to go to the first tea, where he was a member, where he was studying the first tea curriculum. And so he made up his mind that he would go to the first tea and then he would come home that night and he would carry out his plan to end his life. So he went to the first tea that day. And while he was there, a coach, these are the adult mentors, that's what we call them, a coach who had been there week after week after week, nothing special happening, just teaching Joe the golf, teaching Joe the core values of the first tea curriculum. The coach noticed Joe's demeanor and said, "Joe, you don't seem right today. Let's talk." And sat down and talked with Joe. Joe walked away saying, "That was okay. It felt good to talk with him. I'll come back next week, and then I'll carry out my plan." So Joe delayed his plan for a week, and he went back to the first tee the next week. And there was that coach again. And the coach said, "How you doing now? You look a little better, but let's sit and talk some more." And they talked some more. And Joe delayed his plan again, and he went to the first tee again, and he delayed his plan again, and he went to the first tee again. And today, Joe is a coach at the first tee of Southern Nevada in Las Vegas. And Joe is a member of the PGA, and Joe has committed his life to being there for other kids. You don't know when those moments are going to come. You cannot schedule them. You have to be there with the kid on an ongoing basis. And I'm not suggesting that the stories will always be as dramatic as Joe Sobeski's. As a matter of fact, I hope with everything in me that Joe's is the only story like this. But I do know that there are kids whose lives you can affect by being there. The next challenge. Teach the kids to make birdies, but let them make bogeys. We do our best to teach the kids the right way to do things. We do our best to teach the kids how to improve what they're doing. But we let them make mistakes. We let them find their own way, and we love them for themselves no matter what. It is vital that the kids know that they are loved, that they are accepted for themselves, that we are helping them find their way about who they are and their path for their lives rather than trying to make them live ours. So teach the kids to make birdies and let them make bogeys. And the final challenge I have for you in being the T is the biggest and the one that will make the most difference. And my challenge for you is to be a 1%er. And by being a 1%er, I mean commit and give and follow through to give 1% of your resources to help other people. Now, I know that by virtue of you being on this call, by virtue of you wearing a Rotary pin, that this is your inclination. I'm asking you to quantify it. There are three things that the nonprofit sector needs, and they correlate well with the things that kids need. We need your time, we need your money, and we need your advocacy. Advocacy I will set aside. The time, I'm asking for 1%. An annual full-time job, amortized into hours, is 2,080 hours. 1% is 20.8 hours. I'm going to round that up. I'm asking for 21 hours annually to be given to helping a kid. Guys, this is less than 2 hours a week. A month, I read that right. Less than 2 hours a month. I'm asking you to commit 1% of your money, 1% of your annual earnings to help kids who need a hand. Let me do the math for you. In the state of Utah, an average household income is slightly north of $50,000. 1% of $50,000 is $500. That is $41 a month. If you're making $100,000 a year, 1% of $100,000 is $1,000. That's $83 a month. If you're like Larry and cracking $1 million a year, that is 1% is $10K. $10,000 is all out of that million, Larry. That is only $833 a month. I want you guys to commit to this. I want you to turn now to the person next to you and tell them how much you make. It's kind of quiet.
I'm muted.
Seriously. The point is 1%. Why?
We're all muted.
1% makes a difference. 1% makes a difference. 1% of your time. If everybody was giving 20 hours of their time, that's 1% of an annual work schedule. I'm not even asking for 1% to have 24 hours. I'm not asking for 1% of your waking hours. I want you to have a full, well-rounded life. I'm saying give 1% of your work time. That's 21 hours a year. I'm asking you to give 1% of your annual salary. And church donations don't count. What you drop in the bucket or the plate doesn't count. What you put on a tithing slip doesn't count. This is something that you do specifically, personally, with involvement to help others. 1%. Be a 1%er. That's my challenge to you. Be the T. We would be honored and grateful if any of you wanted to give your 1% of resources of the various kinds to help us help Utah kids. But if it's not us, I'm asking it to be somewhere else. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Paul. I have a couple questions. One
Okay.
is, how do we get the programs in our local schools? If my son, get him involved some way, how do we do that?
Terrific question. Thank you. I appreciate you asking that. We're not in Davis County yet. That's a real challenge for us. It takes us $5,000 in a one-time expense to get a program into the school. Once it's in the school, it can go on in perpetuity. That $5,000 provides the equipment that is necessary, which is really durable, although we encourage people to wear it out, and we're happy to replace it if it gets worn out. That means it's being used. That one-time $5,000 can put that program in the school. In broad general numbers, that's 650 kids who will get that training every year on an ongoing basis, normally in the 5th grades. That's kind of our sweet spot, is 10-year-olds and 5th graders. And every 5th grade class then that comes through that school for years in the future will benefit from that one-time $5,000 investment. So we need to raise the money to pay for the cost of taking it to the school. If you guys wanted to take that on as a project, I would be thrilled and honored and humbled and would love to help you with that. The second thing that we need for it to succeed in a school, Larry, is we need passionate people in that school. Passionate people are the difference maker. I don't care if we had tons of money sitting in the truck that we couldn't count. If we didn't have passionate people who believed in what's going on at the first tee, it wouldn't work. So we need those passionate people. But if we can find a place where we've got people who care about it and we can come up with a source for the money, that can be a one-time expense that can carry on and on and on and serve those kids for years to come.
Okay, second question is, are there any success stories in the sense that, well, two places on that. One, success in going on to play golf professionally, possibly.
Oh,
or two,
yeah.
A success who's gone on because of the First Tee Foundation has become successful in business and life in specific ways. Who are your?
Yeah, great questions. I really appreciate them. The organization is not quite 20 years old nationally. We are just getting to the point where kids who started in the First Tee and went through the program are now in their 20s and in their early 30s and starting to really make a difference. Just this last year, the national organization started an alumni association for kids who have been in the First Tee, specifically to bring these kids together, Larry, the ones you're talking about, who have now gone on, graduated from the First Tee, and who are doing things in their lives. And we're starting to gather that data now. That's actually an area where the national organization has been kind of slow and remiss in gathering data, and so I don't have really good numbers for your question. We're putting that together. But let me tell you some success stories about great golfers. I'm sure you've all heard of Paula Kramer, a U.S. Open champion. Paula Kramer's a First Tee kid. In addition to Paula, there are two people on the men's tour, on the PGA Tour, who are First Tee kids as well. There's Scott Langley, left-handed player from St. Louis, Missouri. Scott has a PGA Tour card, and he's doing real well. He's first tee of St. Louis. And then from the First Tee of Sand Hill in North Carolina, Harold Varner III. And Harold Varner III just last week finished tied for 4th in the Quicken Loans tournament at Congressional in Bethesda, Maryland, which qualified him for the British Open. He's a rookie on the tour this year. Harold Varner III, when he was playing in the Web.com event that was here in Utah last year, he came and spoke to our kids. He is an incredible young man. He has an amazing family narrative. Harold Varner I, his grandfather, played in the Negro Leagues for the Kansas City Monarchs. Harold Varner is the only African American currently playing on the Pro Tour, and I don't care what the color of his skin is. I will tell you, this man is special. He has an electric personality that lights the room and creates weather. And this is a name you're going to hear, Harold Varner III.
Great, thanks.
Are there any other questions? Okay, let me finish by telling you one one more story about something that's happening right now. I mentioned earlier that we were taking our program to Rose Park. Rose Park is a neighborhood that has an astonishing history and cohesiveness. The people of Rose Park are involved with each other, and they are proud of and they are involved in their community. The people of Rose Park serve one another. In Rose Park is the Guadalupe School that serves kids who need it more than any other group. These are kids who come from backgrounds where they have nothing. About 1/4 to 1/3 of the students at Guadalupe School don't even have an address. They are homeless. And the Guadalupe School sends a van to the homeless shelter to pick them up and take them to school each morning. We will be teaching the kids at the Guadalupe School the first T on an ongoing basis. It started last week. Several months ago, I was meeting with Rich Pater, the director of the Guadalupe School, which is contiguous to the Rose Park Golf Course. It sits on the 17th tee at Rose Park, at the golf course there. And Rich said to me, Paul, my kids look out the window at that golf course and they don't know they can go there. Now, I don't care if these kids ever become golfers, but I do care that there's a barrier in their thinking that tells them they can't go anywhere. And if we can use our program to take one brick out of that wall and knock it down a little bit so that they learn that anywhere they want to go, their talent and their hard work can take them there, then everything we've done is a success. And that's what's happening at the first tee of Utah. Thank you very much.
So, Paul?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me? This is Tiffany Price. What can we do if we do want to get involved? And just as a side note, Rose Park was the wealthy area. My husband.
Okay. Tiffany, you cut out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm driving and I'm in the canyon. What can we specifically do if we want to get involved in Salt Lake and maybe specifically the Rose Park, since we've got a special little tie and love there?
Fantastic. Tiffany, we need you. We need women role model coaches. We need women coaches more than any one thing. Tiffany, if you have an interest in coaching these kids and helping them, it would make such a difference. We need women coaches. Let me tell you real quick a story about a little girl named Caitlin. Caitlin had been in our program for 3 different class sessions. A session is 10 classes of 90 minutes each. It takes place normally over a 6-week period. So Caitlin had been to 3 of these. And for the first 2 sessions, I was a coach in these sessions, and Caitlin said nothing, no words. Caitlin said 0 to any adult male in any of those sessions. And one of our coaches was at the time engaged to a wonderful woman named Jen. And Jen came to meet him. They were on their way to go somewhere, and she liked what she saw, and she said, can I come back? And so she came back and watched again, and then she said, hey, can I get involved? Can I help with these kids? And I said, yes, of course, and we helped her become a coach. What's interesting is Jen was not a golfer. Jen had never golfed before she did this. But Jen connected with Caitlin, and Jen helped Caitlin. And in the 3rd session, we were there on a drizzly, rainy, cold day, and I felt this tug on the back of my coat, and I turn around, and there's Caitlin with a smile on her face, and she says, Coach Paul, my dad said he thought I'd be cold, and I'm not. He turned and skipped away. I almost fell on my knees and cried right there. It still chokes me up to tell the story. Caitlin talked to me. Caitlin said nothing to me because of me. I had been trying for 2.5 sessions. It was all Jen. It was because we got a woman coach in there who whom Caitlin felt comfortable with. Tiffany, we need women coaches. There are other Caitlins out there. I don't know them yet, but I know they're there. There are other girls who need adult role models, and they need to know that there are adults who care about them, women who care about them, and who will listen to them, and who will talk with them, and who will love them for who they are. If you have 21 hours, give us 1% of your working life. You can make a difference in the lives of these kids. And we'll see that you do this at Rose Park.
Okay, so do we just contact you? Larry can give me your information, or?
Yes. Yes, and or you can go on our website. It's thefirsttutah.org, and it is. Then there's a volunteer button, a big orange volunteer button that we make obnoxious on purpose.
And when do these classes take place? Is it one day a week?
No, the schedule is different. And the schedule's on our website as well. It depends on what the location is. They generally tend to be in the latter part of the afternoon. That's when generally parents have an easier time providing the transportation. We have chosen not to get into the transportation business. That may change in the future, but right now we don't do it. And so generally session is normally 2 days a week, generally around 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, somewhere in there. But it's a little different. And another reason that we have it late in the day like that is because it's easier to get the volunteer coaches. The adult coaches really matter.
Paul, are you? Is there anything else on your screen we need to see?
Well, I've got pictures of me performing acts of superhuman strength.
Well, I assume there would be.
By the way, I want you to know, I started Googling your pitching career before I realized it was a joke.
Okay.
I was so impressed. I thought, this is so cool.
Yeah, you know, it's. I wish we were all in the same room. I've used that introduction for several years. It is really fascinating to see when people pick up that I'm just lying through my teeth. But I will note that at the top of the paper it says a biography by Paul Pugmire, and then at the end it says parts of this are true. I was born in Provo. I was born in Provo, and I am the I am the executive director of the First Tee. The rest I kind of fudged a little on.
Not likely. Any other questions for Paul?
Anything else?
Comments? Well, Paul, we thank you so much. That was a great.
Okay, I see what you're doing, Larry. Thank you so much. There's our web. If you will go to the center button that says volunteer, that will take you to a form that will come straight to me, and it will capture your data, and we will then be able to get back in touch with you, and we'll get you trained. I'll tell you that we do criminal background checks on all of our adults who are interacting with the kids. We require you to do about 4 hours of online training, but you get a very nice shirt that has way cool logos on it like mine, and we would love to have you involved.
All right, thank you, Paul, and Larry and Natalie for your comments and the presentation. I'm still growing up in this century, but I was born in the last century, and Paul, many of the issues you spoke about, I grew up with those. I grew up with that encouragement and acknowledgement, and as time has gone on, I've seen that I've seen it go away. And there are children who are so talented, but they're just waiting for some encouragement and hope and love and participation in their lives, and as you said, this does make a difference. And I would hope that the whole United States of America and the world just goes back to those basics. This is how we teach our children. This is how we teach them responsibility, accomplishment, etc., etc., etc. So, wow, that was just, you know, you're talking about life skills and references and referees' accomplishments, you know, minimizing not accomplishments, honesty, grit. That's huge, huge. And I'm just saying for, I don't know how many million Americans, I see that, and I see that more all the time. And with the entitlement thing, I didn't grow up with that. Am I a billionaire? No. Am I a really happy person because of the parenting and the acknowledgement? I mean, yeah, I did some track and cross country, did a little baseball when I was in high school. I like it. I like it. And I totally agree that the children of today need to be a part of that and have that acknowledged. And it does make a difference. So, Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We hope to be in touch in the future.
Fantastic. I'm grateful for the chance to meet with you, and thank you for listening. Thank you for your time.
Do you notice how quiet it was, Paul? I mean, wow. I mean, we were listening.
I just thought the mics were muted.
No, they weren't. So, all right.
I'd like to invite Paul to join us in our club. We'd love to have him as a member.
I think that would be wonderful. Paul, do you understand the idea of our club?
Yes, I do. I've been a Rotarian, and Larry.
Oh, good boy.
Yeah, Larry has worked me hard. I'm keenly aware of the deadline tomorrow. I'll.
Well, and I told Paul the deadline doesn't mean anything to us. It's having Paul involved because you've just caught a glimpse. I call Paul the onion because you've just barely seen the outside surface. The guy is layers and layers deep, and every time I visit him, I find something new.
Okay. Well, let me just advertise for a minute, Paul.
Yeah.
We really launched in September of last year, and our year is from July 1 to July July 1 to June 30th. Okay. We did a fundraising project in December. Boom. We were done. We delivered the service project in January. Boom. We did another fundraising project, what, February? March? Boom. Done. And then we did the service project for part of that money in, what, March or April? We still, okay, we just changed the delivery of the service project because it was a school-oriented idea. So, you know, 2 fundraisers and basically 3 results in 9 months. I'm not demeaning the other clubs, but when we have a compelling speaker like you, I mean, our conversations go from 30 to 45 minutes a week. That's pretty much what we've done. Yeah, it took us a little longer when we got started, but that's what we're doing. So we've had such success in my book that it's just we're online for 30 to 45 minutes and we're done, and the results are out there from fundraising to service projects in 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm having people call me from all over the country. How do you guys do this? And another beautiful thing is you don't need to live in Murray. You don't need to live in Audie. You can live anywhere. We've got members in, I'm not sure how many counties in Salt Lake. I think we're going on about 6 members across the country. Beat that. is time efficiency, and I think we could be a real contribution to your cause, and it resonates with me, and let's continue the conversation.
Thank you.
So thank you very, very much. Let me just kind of wrap up kind of quickly, and as a segue to what I just mentioned to Paul, there are other Rotary clubs talking about us. I mean, we are a satellite club of the West Jordan Club, and I don't think Kelly talked about this last week, and I'm not going to give specific figures because I'll let Kelly do that, but we are in the neighborhood of 35%, 40% of capital infusion compared to the typical Rotary Club. And Kelly's getting a lot of questions. Well, what? How are you doing this? Well, we're doing it because of our paradigm and our dynamic. We are time efficient. We're money efficient. We get right to the core. If somebody's not there, gosh, 2 or 3 other people pick it up, and it's done. The meeting is posted. So our efficacy, yeah. This is the first and only so far e-club in the state of Utah, and I think our accomplishments are amazing, and that's because of all the coaching that I've received from the other members of Rotary who've been there a lot longer than I have. And one thing I'll throw out, our sponsor club is the West Jordan Rotary Club. They do a fundraiser at the, I want to call it the West Jordan Stampede Rodeo. It's Friday night, Saturday night, and okay, what they're asking for are volunteers for some service Friday night, Saturday night, and Monday night, which is the 4th of July, from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. It's been going on, I think Kelly told me, 30-something years, that if anyone can volunteer or want to, just get a little, I don't know, get some experience. You don't need any training. It's at the West Jordan Fairgrounds Rodeo Ground, 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and Monday. You don't have to spend the whole time there, but if we can help them, because they certainly helped us, just go down there and basically flipping burgers and serving drinks. And Kelly said for the number of years that he's been there, the best part of it is you get a free entrance to the rodeo, and that the, what's the word I want? The intermission is totally entertaining, things you would never even think of or see of. So I'll leave that with that, but again, 2200 West, 7800 South, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. If you have any questions, give me and or Kelly a call. And I advocate this because West Jordan, that's why we are here, is because of the West Jordan Club. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you for the inspiration and assistance and everything all through the year. I think we just have one freaking remarkable organization. And like I said, I mean, at the club meeting in Cedar City a couple of months ago, I mean, I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting emails, I'm getting, how are you guys doing it? Because it's a new paradigm and it works because we make it work. There's nothing in my estimation that slips away from us. Okay, we're going on 13 members, again, in several counties and states. Who can say that? So anyway.
Well, Brent, I just want to jump in real quick and just say thank you for your service as president this past year. And as we wrap up this meeting and look forward to the coming year, you've laid a great foundation. So if you don't mind, I would love to offer the four-way test to wrap up tonight. And we'll,
that would be wonderful. And let me just say one little thing. Okay, I'm probably the Paul, because I mean, I've known Kelly for 20 years, and here and there he's, I mean, and this is professionally and as a colleague and as a friend, and over the years he's talked about Rotary and a little this, a little that, and I've always thought, my gosh, that's really admirable. And Paul, I'm sure you're thinking the same thing about your organization. And Natalie and Larry and Tiffany and everybody. It's like we're trying to do good, but trying is like, I'm going to try and call you on the phone. No, you don't try, you do it, or you don't do it. And that's the way that these organizations work. And this world needs that. This country needs that. This community needs that. Okay, my, call him grandfather-in-law, he was the first, what do I call him, subdivision builder in Rose Park. Look what happened there. That went huge. It's huge across the country and across the world. So don't tell me that these little things don't move and move and move. And sometimes it's just like a little thought. If you think it's a problem, it's not a problem. It's a blessing. Figure out how to get forward with it. Love you guys so much. Larry, it's all yours, my man.
I think you're muted, Larry.
I was doing it as a lip reading exercise.
Okay, there you go.
So the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendship? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Have a great week.
Amen. You are all amazing, amazing, and you have blessed our lives. Thank you so much.